Thanks for checking that. Okay, awesome. So I'm pretty sure we didn't tell anyone that would be live 11 minutes ago. So probably outing myself here with the Zoom troubles again. But yeah, that was pretty crazy with just the button just not appearing for some reason. So I'm just going to pull up our agenda really quick. And thank you, Chris, so much for joining us. I'm going to get you to introduce yourself. But I just really quickly wanted to remind everybody the whole point of the podcast is to make business better for business owners. And you know that, that's sort of my whole thing. We want to bring anything that we can to business owners that can make their life easier, more joyful, more profitable. And I see so much in what you do that if we just all followed it, life would be so much easier and happier. And look, I even have a protein shake because I was thinking about you and I'm like, I should have protein.
Nice.
Yeah, so you've made a huge difference for me, and I just wanted to share that with the business owners in our community. So
Cool.
Thank you for joining us. And I'll just, get you to tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe why you think I asked you to come on here.
Cool. Well, I should say, vice versa. I think, I've learned, and Kathy and I've learned so much from you, and, to be a part of this, I felt really honored that you invited me. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So I'm one of the owners of Purple Carrot Health Foods, and I'm a nutritional consultant and have been doing that for, every time I always have to look up in my office at my certificates to see how long have I been doing this. So 12 years this year, which is craziness. So, started off focusing on intolerance and allergies, and then it sort of has morphed into dealing with a lot more complex issues and helping people eat for their lives and their issues and what have you. And, I'm so passionate about health and see that the difference in how you treat your body and your lifestyle choices, how that impacts you. And I'm always blown away by the body and what it does when you're doing the right thing. So I love to be able to share that and then have people see the difference that their choices make in their lives and how they feel. So, yeah.
Yeah, I totally get that. I've been noticing that like the last couple days when I've been really intentional with what I eat and drink and put in my body and sleep and exercise. And it's crazy the things that you, even like I think we were talking about me joining the sober club, and I can just tell when even if it's one or two drinks, the next day I just don't feel amazing. And right now I feel amazing because I just haven't drank, and so that's one little small thing I think that for me is a really big noticeable thing. But I'm really excited for you to share with us about how kind of we can manage anxiety and stress. And it's crazy to me that we can do this with nutrition. So I think it's so awesome. And I want to talk about fatigue, I think, and having energy, because all these things just make you such a better leader, such a better business owner. And then I want to just kind of hear about there's so many different diets out there. There's so many different, well, I guess maybe fad diets, maybe was the word I was looking for, or maybe different suggested ways of eating different diets. And I was just wondering if you had sort of what's your take on eating in general. I'm sure you probably have many.
I do.
Okay, cool. And then, I want to end by asking you to tell us about like the biggest mistake you often see and what you think will make the biggest difference for business owners. So I've got it here. You don't have to remember. I will look at it to make sure we stay on track somewhat. But so like, I guess let's just talk about nutrients and food and what should we do? Help us.
Okay. Well, I think I think you had a good key word in there, and it's nutrients. And I think that we forget that that's why we eat, to get nutrients, and instead we grab the easy thing, we grab the quick thing, we grab what feels good, generally temporarily, we go with our habits, we forget to listen to our body, and our key to eating is to eat nutrients. And it's really that simple. Get the nutrients in. I mean, you want to make sure you're absorbing them and get rid of the junk, or at least limit the junk, and make sure when you are eating junk that your body's actually getting rid of that junk as well. So I think
stole that word from your notes, just so you know.
Okay.
That was not my word. That's definitely your word. So there's so much to unpack there. eating to feel good, I think, is a very, like, I know that this was something that, like, I'm 37 now, and probably until last year, I think that I used food to comfort myself for sure. And I'm sure I still do it occasionally, but I had like issues around food. Like I would overeat when I was stressed or that sort of thing. And I think it's so common. Like it's rare to see somebody who actually intentionally eats with the purpose of getting the proper nutrients, right? So
Yeah.
how it seems like such a completely different life. And I think for me, the reason that I never used to stick to diets or programs was because it seemed so hard to do in real life.
Yeah.
So how do people do it easily? Like, is there a rule, sort of a general rule you have for people?
Well, it's start, and when it's hard because we're creatures of habit, and we're emotional and we're stressed and we're too busy and we live these chaotic lives. And so it's easy to run through the drive-thru. It's easy to grab a coffee as a pick-me-up or a chocolate bar, or we do things easy most of the time. And that's where we need to remember that we have to take the time to take care of ourselves. And so if you're not willing to take the time to take care of yourself, you're not going to feel better. With my clients, sometimes they come in. I had somebody recently and they're like, well, I don't want to cook. So, how am I going to feel better? And I was like, I get that, but you have to. You have to take that time. And it doesn't have to be, chopping for 3 hours every single afternoon or spending an entire day meal prepping for the week. It can be simpler. You're not needing to make a 7-course dinner every night with sauces and this and that. It can be very simple and it can be very tasty, but it's not as easy as just going into the cupboard and grabbing something and thinking you're going to feel really good by making the easy choice. You have to be organized, and it takes a bit of time to start. So if you're willing to just start and then you start feeling the benefits, it's worth it. And once you get there, then it's easy to follow. So I think that's the biggest thing.
So what about people doing food prep for you or something? Because I'm one of those people that doesn't like to cook. Like I actually don't like it. Like I dislike it.
Yeah.
And I hate having to do it. So
Yeah.
do you recommend food prep companies? Like, are there people that can do it for you?
I think there's some good options. I think we need better options. There's all the meal delivery companies. You see them all, HelloFresh and Chef's Plate, and I'm sure there's a billion more. We have a local one, which is Great Mocha Local. And the nice thing with that is that a lot of, like, if you're getting the meats are local. A lot of the produce is coming from local providers. And so that's a good option. And then we're supporting a local company, and you're getting local foods, which is going to be better than something shipped from wherever the heck other ones ship from. But I find even with those, and honestly, through this COVID thing, we were working so much and it was so hairy for a bit that I was getting the Mocha Local kits really consistently. And then my kids would make it. And then I get home and dinner was made, and it was amazing. And then they're learning to cook, which is cool. But I like to eat more vegetables than what comes in a lot of those. And so, but that's as easy as, grab a, organic salad mix and have a salad along with, or what have you. And so there are things you can do, or even your own meal prep. I make smoothie bags for myself because, grabbing all the veggies first thing in the morning, it's sometimes a pain. I don't want to be chopping at 7 o'clock in the morning. And so I'll pre-make bags, and I put greens and I put some fruit, and I'll throw some seeds and what have you. And then I just dump that in the blender, and then whatever liquid goes in there. And so there's some things you can do that make things easy. I'll make frozen meals I usually spend about 3 hours doing some meal prep on Sundays. And I get that some people don't want to do that. If I don't do that, my husband goes and eats fast food. So I make frozen meals for my husband and for my kids, and there's lots of veggies and some sort of protein. And like I said, sometimes not even 3 hours. Sometimes I can do them quicker. And then I have, 16 meals in the freezer and I know they're going to eat.
Yeah, you got me doing that, and that's made a huge difference in our lives. Mm-hmm. Not that Tim is completely innocent of eating fast food. I still find wrappers. But there's definitely, I think quiches I make a lot for him. Even normal meals that you wouldn't think that are freezeable they're easy to freeze. And even for myself, I finally started cooking some vegan food on the weekends too. And I've been able to grab complete protein meals with lots of veggies out of the fridge and just microwave them. Like last night I got home from working out in a long day at probably like 8:30 and I was starving, and like if I didn't have frozen like meals already made that I could just microwave, I would have definitely not made a good choice. So
Yeah.
that'll probably be my quick tip today. I think, yeah, making food on a day that you have time and freezing it. And then also, if you don't like it and you can't afford to pay someone to do it for you, you just have to change your paradigm around it, because
Yeah.
like Tim and I will cook together and it's actually fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I actually started to enjoy it. So yeah, I agree with you. I think that's a must.
It
Yeah.
is. And then the key, you have to be organized. It was interesting. I had a customer recently, and, she was having a lot of inflammation, lots of pain in her body and crazy hot flashes. And she was like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, Kate, let's have you follow this anti-inflammatory protocol. And I get an email from her a couple days later, and she was like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. It's so hard. I just want to grab what's in the cupboard and I just want to eat what's there. And I was like, I get it. And when you first switch, it is hard, and it's habits, and it's your mindset, and it is your perception or your paradigm and what have you. And you just have to switch it. I'm like, you can do it. You just stick with it, because then you're going to see the shift and you're going to feel better. And then you don't want those things. You don't crave the breads or the chocolates or the coffee or what have you, because you're feeling better. And then you start realizing, maybe you're like, oh, maybe it wasn't that bad. I'm going to have that coffee or that wine or whatever it is. And then you have it and you're like, oh yeah, this is why I don't eat this way. And then you have that reminder. And so it was cool, because then she came into the store, it was maybe 2 weeks after that, and she sort of had this sheepish look on her face, and she was like, and I was like, what's going on? Like, is it okay? Or are you doing? She's like, I feel amazing. She's like, I lost 6 pounds. I have no hot flashes. I feel so much better. My water retention's going down. And I was like, that's awesome. And she's like, I'm going camping this weekend, and normally it's marshmallows and crap and what have you. She's like, I don't even want it. So I've got veggies cut up, and I've got, I want to come and get some, a few treats here that I know are cleaner. And I was like, and once you just do it, then it's worth it. And, it's maybe not that easy for everybody to see the switch right away. Some people don't notice that they feel better immediately. And sometimes it can be almost like, especially if you're an emotional eater, which I am too. I'm stressed and I'm like, yeah, I need sugar now.
It's good to know you're human.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, you can almost have, I usually explain to my clients when they're starting something new, you might feel a little empty. Vegetables aren't comfort foods. They're not like, oh, I feel so much happier now. It's not a short-term bliss that you get from eating them. So you can feel a little physically empty and emotionally empty, because if you're not eating those foods that you find comfort in. But then your body adjusts and you get used to it. And again, it becomes just part of what you do when you can make those good choices.
So I think we all want to know what this anti-inflammatory diet's about.
Oh,
That
it's one of my
like
favorite things to talk about.
Okay.
The biggest thing is getting nutrients in. Get in, like, eat lots of vegetables. Like, that's your number one thing. And that's something I'll do as a start. So let's say, because generally anti-inflammatory, you take out inflammatory foods. The big guys, dairy, gluten, and corn are my top 3. There's other foods, and sugar. Everybody knows sugar. I generally tend not to include sugar in the conversation, because I think everybody knows, but I think I should maybe remember to say that, because drinking Slurpees and eating cookies and donuts and, sugary drinks and what have you is not going to make you feel better. Sugar is inflammatory. So you take out the bad guys and increase your vegetables, and a wide variety of different kinds of vegetables. And so when I have clients who are like, they're eating cereal for breakfast and sandwiches for lunch and lots of dairy and cookies and McDonald's. And so the idea of taking out those foods and eating vegetables is overwhelming. I'll suggest, okay, just start increasing your vegetables. And the more good you eat, the less time you have and the less stomach space you have to eat the bad. And so if you can just start, let's get in more good, then the bad will start weaning out, sort of thing. So
I think that's a really big key takeaway that I think a lot of people, if they're listening to this and it's overwhelming and they just feel like I know for a lot of us, we think all or nothing. Like, if I can't do it well, I'm just not going to do it at all. But I think that's such a really good takeaway, is just put in more good. Just put in more vegetables, put in more water.
Yes,
and
water.
not as much room. Yeah. Yeah, actually, I had noticed my water bottle on the screen when I was drinking, and I was like, oh, some people haven't seen this big jug yet, but I can't, I feel horrible if I don't drink 4 liters of water a day. I don't know. My mom's like that too, but a lot of people just don't drink any.
No, I can't believe it. Like none. I ask it on my intake form, how many glasses of water do you drink? And some people are like 0. What do you drink? Oh my gosh. I drink coffee in the morning and wine at night. Oh no. Oh my gosh. Really? How do you poop? How do you, like, you must feel terrible. You're shriveled up on the inside. Like, oh, it's just mind blowing.
Would come up on today's show.
Well, that's my favorite thing to talk about.
The only podcast ever where we will talk about poop. So does eating better, like in the way that you just talked about, also help with anxiety and stress?
It can do. I mean, anxiety is a tough one because it's multifaceted. I mean, oftentimes there's, trauma or, emotional stuff that goes into that. And that's definitely not my area of expertise. I know for myself in my own life that I actually just recently realized that I suffer from anxiety, and I never knew it before. I've always said to myself, oh, I'm not anxious. And it turns out that some of my behaviors, am I spinning and crazy at night, and I'll panic, something happens at the store, maybe there's a complaint or something, and I can't let it go. Turns out that's anxiety. So there's an emotional aspect there and a psychological aspect. And I'm a huge promoter of counseling, huge. I recommend it to my clients all the time. And so I can't speak to that from a practitioner perspective, but there's a huge gut-brain connection. And so when your guts aren't happy, we will see brain function impact, right? Like your water, that's another big thing. There are studies that show that being dehydrated can cause depression symptoms and anxiety symptoms. So drinking enough water is really important. And I mean, you need fat for your brain to work. You need nutrients for your brain to work. So we have to deal with that. And again, the gut-brain connection, when we're producing the majority of our serotonin in our guts, how your guts function will impact how you think and how you feel. And brain fog is a really, really common symptom that I get asked about, and eating better is something that can contribute to better brain function for sure.
So what else do you do for better brain function?
Well, again, fat's really good for your brain. So, if you eating fish or, fish oils, or getting your seed oils, avocados are wonderful, olive oil, that sort of thing. So getting in good fats is really important for that. And again, like, I think the biggest thing is, if you're not pooping well, you're not going to feel well. So make sure your digestive system's functioning. Or if you poop too much, if you're, diarrhea all the time, well, your brain's probably not going to function very well then either. So it's deal with your gut issues. In particular, gluten is a food that I see probably most commonly linked to brain stuff. And there's actually even been studies with like gluten and schizophrenia, like on the, sort of far end of the spectrum, which is really fascinating. So if you're suffering from anxiety, depression, or anything neurological, looking at potentially pulling out gluten and seeing if that helps. And there's new research in, brain function and inflammation. So again, reducing that inflammation in the rest of your body can impact your brain function and anxiety and so on and so forth as well.
And reducing the inflammation, that was the anti-inflammatory diet you were talking about.
Yeah, so taking out those inflammatory foods, dairy, gluten, corn, sugar. And there's actually some research with eggs, but that's person to person. There's some other foods that can be an issue too, and increasing the nutrients. So I use the WALLS protocol a lot with my clients, and that's getting 3 cups of dark green leafy veggies, 3 cups of colorful fruits and veggies, and 3 cups of sulfur-y veggies. So like your broccoli, cauliflower, asparagus, onions, garlic, mushrooms, that sort of thing.
So I think I also got some stuff there before called Gaba. Are there supplements that you give people too for anxiety and stress?
Yeah. I mean, in anxiety and stress, how stress impacts you is different. So anxiety may not be your tendency, but if it is, GABA can be really helpful. And there's chewable GABA, which is nice. So it works really quickly. And it's sort of, GABA is a neurotransmitter, And so you can take that supplementally, and it's generally quite safe as well. I mean, as with any supplement, especially one that's going to affect your brain, you want to talk to your doctor or pharmacist first, and be careful if you're taking meds. Like if you're on an anti-anxiety med or an antidepressant, you have to be really, really careful about natural supplements that you take for that. Because if you're taking something that affects how your body utilizes serotonin, and you take something natural that does that, you can actually end up with too much serotonin, which sounds good, but it's not good. It's quite bad. So you have to be really careful.
That's good. That's funny.
But magnesium is calming, and so that can be helpful. And it's good for your heart. It feeds the adrenal glands. It's a natural muscle relaxant. It can help with bowel movements, and magnesium is a nutrient I really like, and I find a lot of people are deficient in it. And B vitamins are really important if you're stressed, and they're not calming, your B vitamins. In fact, they can help with energy, but they feed your adrenal glands. And so your adrenal glands are like your stress glands. They make all your like adrenaline and cortisol and those like running for your life, fight or flight hormones. And so when you're stressed a lot, your adrenal glands can get depleted. So B vitamins and vitamin C and magnesium all feed your adrenal glands. So it's important to support those organs and glands, and you're getting all those nutrients in, so you function well if you're under stress.
And people can just come into the store and ask about this stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I don't want to recommend blanket statement to people. Everyone should go get Gaba. So yeah, they should definitely ask. And you said,
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, good. So I guess since poop's on the table already, some people might be wondering, what does a healthy day look like?
What's the perfect poop?
Yeah, I guess so. I couldn't have teed you up better, eh?
I know, hey, my favorite topic.
Yeah.
You should poop every day, for sure. Like, there's no question about it. I'll hear people are like, well, I've always only pooped once a week, so that's normal. No, that's not normal.
People do not say that.
Totally. Like, and pooping once a week, oh my gosh, you feel terrible. And imagine if you start pooping every day when you've been going once a week, getting all that out, and the relief. Oh man, it's exciting. So you should poop every day. 2 or 3 times is actually normal. It should be formed. So you don't want loose. I don't know how much detail you want me to go into here.
I'm not drinking the rest of this chocolate protein shake, that's for sure.
We're all in. The perfect poop should be about the length of your descending colon. So that depends on how tall you are. So close to a foot. It should be about a loonie or toonie in diameter. It should half float, half sink. It should be a nice dark brown or sort of a medium brown. It shouldn't really smell. You shouldn't really have to wipe. I mean, do wipe, but it wouldn't be surprising if you wipe and you're like, there's nothing there. I mean, yeah, so that's the perfect poop.
Wow, no podcast will ever top this. That is a lot of detail. Thank you.
Yes.
I'm sure that no one would have asked that even if they were wondering. Wow.
It's funny though, because I have clients, and they'll, after I've been seeing them for a little bit, they'll be like, oh my gosh, I had the perfect poop. I'm having the perfect poop. And then they get excited, and then we talk about the perfect poop, and then they have it, and they're just like so excited. And not gonna lie, sometimes I've actually got pictures, and I'm like, wow, we're there.
No, you don't get pictures of poop sent to you. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. So, okay, there's so much good stuff here. So energy, you talked about energy, B6 complex?
Your B complex. So B6 is one B vitamin. Some people think a B12 is a B complex, but B12 is one of your B. So B complex would have all your B vitamins, B1, B2, B3, B6, B5, B12, folic acid, that sort of thing.
So then that helps with energy. So then we won't go to like coffee or chocolate or energy drinks. Some people, can't believe anyone would drink energy drinks.
I know.
Nice. So then that B vitamin, what else is there that can help up energy? Because I read in your notes there, we don't need caffeine. We think we need caffeine. But so if we don't need caffeine, how do people have good energy?
Well, the problem with caffeine is, it's a stimulant, right? And then it's addictive. And so the addiction is really what creates the need for it. So you drink it and you feel better. The same as any addiction. I mean, I don't want to correlate it to like heroin or what have you, but it's the same thing. Like if you're going through withdrawal, you're going to have symptoms like, I need it. And then you have it. And then you're like, okay, that's what I needed. I feel much better. And so it's an illusion that we need it. And I love coffee. I'm not saying I don't drink coffee, but you don't want to need coffee. You know, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you have that lull, you don't need a coffee there. You need to deal with why you're tired. If you have to have a coffee in the morning to get going, there's an issue there. We want to address that issue. And so, you know, like I said, coffee is delicious. And if you like it, have one as a treat, but don't be dependent on it. And so if we need, you know, that mid-afternoon lull is really common, you know, where you get tired, you know, towards the end of the day and you reach for coffee or chocolate. That is more, again, we want to use that as an indication of an imbalance. And so one of the big things I find with the fatigue that can happen is you're not getting nutrients at the right time. So if you have that lull in the afternoon, eating a good breakfast can help in preventing that, or having, you know, eating consistently and having your blood sugar imbalance is something that you also want to be doing. Sometimes that lull in the afternoon is indicative that your body's been under too much stress and maybe your adrenal glands are having a bit of a hard time and you need to support that. And again, B vitamins are usually my first place I go there, because even if you don't find that it gives you the energy you need, it's doing other good things. It's good for your hair, skin, and your nails, and your circulation and your heart. And I mean, most of our functions in our body rely on B vitamins. So I always like things that do lots of things. So if it doesn't do the thing we want, then there's other value in it. And so, you know, taking a B complex with your breakfast or lunch, which will make your pee really yellow, so don't panic. That can help that mid-afternoon lull. Or for some people, they need a little more herbal stress support. And you mentioned Gaba. Gaba is sort of more calming, but there's sort of adaptogenic herbs that can just help in supporting your adrenal glands. I really like ashwagandha. The amino acid tyrosine is really beneficial. And especially if you find you have that brain fog, I find tyrosine is really good. And there's some really interesting studies done with tyrosine and sort of draining people and making them really tired and then having them perform, you know, mental function tasks, and doing that either with tyrosine or not. And the ones who take tyrosine will way outperform the ones who don't. And so, yeah, there's some, I really like tyrosine. My favorite stress support or adrenal support supplement is called Adrenal Pro, and it has the ashwagandha and the tyrosine, a few B vitamins and some Siberian ginseng, some herbs like that. And so I find they can be really helpful and preventing that mid-afternoon lull or that fatigue in the morning. Or sometimes we'll have the opposite thing where, you know, you get up in the morning and you're like, I can't get out of bed. This is terrible. And then you go to bed that night and you're exhausted, and then you're ding and your brain's crazy. And that's really an indication that your body's not coping with stress well, and your cortisol levels are a little wonky. And, you know, they should be high in the morning so you jump out of bed, and they should be lower at night so you can fall asleep. So
Yeah, I should have told you before we could use me as a case study, because I can tell you're very professionally avoiding the, you take that. But yeah,
take it too.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah, there's so many things that you said that I'm just like, yes, that's my problem. The coffee thing, though, I'm kind of stuck on. I think I grew up watching people need coffee. It's like the most common meme I've ever seen, you know, don't talk to me before I have my coffee, or whatever it is. I still remember when I was a kid and my parents let me taste coffee. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, why would anyone drink this? But every morning I'm like, just get it in there, because yeah, like I basically stumble around until I have my coffee. But
so you don't even like it?
No, I don't like it at all. I
Really?
literally drink, yeah.
You drink it out of obligation. Wow, interesting.
No, but I need it. But I never thought of it as an addiction before, which is hilarious, because you're right. Until I have it, I don't feel normal.
Yeah.
So I can't even imagine a morning without coffee. So that's going to be my next goal, I think, is to go caffeine free. I remember I did it for like a month or maybe 2 months there, and I felt amazing. I forgot about that.
Temporarily, you'll feel crummy.
Yeah.
For sure. Because it's an addiction. I mean, when you quit anything, you're going to have, but it's usually about 3 days, and then the physical addiction really should be over. A habit's a whole other kit and caboodle, but you know, 3 days in the addiction should be be done.
Great habit books out there, but I love that you offered that 3 days, because one of my mentors actually talked a lot about that 3-day thing, and I thought that was so much more doable than 30 days, because I know a lot of the habit books I've read talk about that 30 days, some talk about 90 days, but if people can just get that message, you know, if there's something that you want to cut out or a positive habit you want to put in, I think it is really truly 3 days. Because I remember, I think it was Christmas one year, I emailed you and I'm like, I am literally dying. Like my head is pounding. So you're like, yeah, it's caffeine withdrawal. And I'm like, what? Like it just felt, it was crazy. So yeah, I guess, yeah, that's going to be my next thing. One thing I want to point out to people though, and this is something I really learned from you over the last few years, I have spent so much money on face creams, like ever since I was like 18, because I was like, I don't want to look wrinkled. I don't want to look older. And so I like think back, I can't even imagine how I've probably spent hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like it's crazy. And then one day you're like, yeah, I just use coconut oil. I was like, just coconut oil? What now? And so yeah, that's what I do now. And I'm just like cursing myself every time I use the coconut oil. I was like, why didn't I meet her 20 years ago? You know, like, and I think it's a lot like with food. For me anyways, and I know a lot of people, it's like, okay, I feel tired, so I'm gonna drink some. For me, I drink a Rockstar. I know it's horrible. I'm gonna quit again. So I need that. I need that to feel normal. And then maybe I put on some expensive face cream when I could be just eating good food or using coconut oil. Or so if we just were doing the good things, we wouldn't need to like fix our energy or take something to fall asleep, or yeah, it's crazy because we just work ourselves into this place where we're like, well, now I need this to fall asleep because I took this in the afternoon to stay awake. And it's just
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a bad habit to, yeah, we're taking something to energize and taking something to calm and what have you. And that's a tough, yeah, that's a tough situation. I do want to just speak to the coconut oil because if there's any like estheticians watching, they will lose their mind. Coconut oil is probably not the best thing. I'm lazy. I can't be bothered, but I will have to say I'm not using I use coconut oil to take off my makeup in the morning. I should take it off at night, but I don't.
Oh no, people are just, yeah, you're in big trouble.
Don't take your beauty care advice from me, because you do, like, it really is like so many people will spend a fortune on their skincare, but they don't take care of this, and this is what creates healthy skin. When the healthiest, the people who have the nicest looking skin, they take care of their insides. And yeah, you do want to take care of your skin, and coconut oil can clog your pores. I do have to say, I'm using a face oil now from this. There's two face oils I love. Robin Lilly, who's local, makes a beautiful serum. It's amazing. And then one from a company called Ellie Bianca. So yeah, so I was always like coconut oil, you know, leave my makeup on all night, smear coconut oil on my face because I can't be bothered to do anything else. Sometimes hand and body cream I would use too. Don't tell. And then I got a free bottle of this Ellie Bianca face oil, life altering, because I used to find even with coconut oil, if I forgot to put it on in the morning, I'd get to work and my face would just feel shriveled or tight, especially if I've been bad at drinking water. And with the Ellie Bianca oil, oh my gosh, I can't believe how nice my skin feels. So I've never actually spent fancy money on my skin before, but I'm willing to for a good serum. And those two are my favorites.
Okay, so I think that's another, it's just like the feeling good and not eating caffeine thing, because you have the nicest, youngest looking skin of anyone I've ever met. That's why I switched to coconut oil. But what I didn't do is switch to eating everything properly and not drinking caffeine. So that's so crazy. We do all these things to try and fix the outside, but if we just ate properly, got the right nutrients, ate more vegetables, drank more water, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what's the biggest mistake you see people making? But if you can specifically, I know you know a lot of business owners and we're a special type as entrepreneurs. We take on a lot. And so is there a common mistake that you see with business owners that you might want to try and address or give some advice on?
It's not taking the time to take care of you. And I know, you know, as a mom, most moms tend to take care of everybody else besides them. As a, you know, business owner, as a boss or a manager, you tend to take care of all your staff and your customers and not yourself. We put ourselves last. And, you know, you hear the analogy all the time. We don't use it. You know, when you're on the airplane and the mask comes down, you always put it on yourself first. And we don't do that. And so when we're not taking care of ourselves first, we're not being the best person we can be. And that's, yeah, you have to take care of yourself first, and you will do a better job at being a mom or being a business owner or being a boss when you are taking care of yourself. And I know that for me, when I'm not coping as a human, if I'm not taking the time to sleep or eat well or eat regularly or drink enough water, I'm not happy. I can be angry. I can be, more anxious, I can be quick tempered, and then I'm not effective. And when I'm not effective, they're not effective, and they're not doing their job. And it's this cascade of everybody not doing well when, the head's not doing their job. And it's really as simple as that. You have to take the time to take care of you. Have to.
Yeah, I love that. And I saw somebody post something like last night about a different way to look at that whole analogy. And I think the way she put it was that it's actually irresponsible as a mother and a leader to not take care of yourself.
Well, we think it's selfish,
Yeah.
And I'm not saying we as in everybody, but I know for myself, we almost have a bit of a martyr mentality, or that idea that being busy it's awesome. It's cool. I'm so busy. I'm exhausted. I don't sleep. And it's this badge of honor that we run ourselves ragged and that we do everything. I'm doing everything for everybody. Look at me. And that's not okay, that this is what we've created, that's normal. That's not normal. It's super common, but it's not normal. And we need to stop that idea that it's selfish to take care of you, because you have to. And then your kids model after you, your staff models after you. And especially in our business, we're in the health business, right? So we as business owners and our staff, we want to be modeling health from all perspectives.
That's such a good point. I didn't even think about that, but there are so many people, like I don't have kids, but I have nieces and a nephew, and I work with a lot of kids and volunteer with a lot of kids, I meant. They don't pay me. But yeah, one of the little girls I'm thinking of, when she was 11, told me that she said something, and it was like, oh no, I'm trying to cut back on sugar, or like it was some comment that sounded so adult, and I was like, oh no, did she hear me say that? Or like, it was something about being fat, and I was like, what have I done? You got to remember, people are looking up to you, especially in your business.
Yeah, and I think that's a really interesting point about women and body image, and especially modeling to young girls, is that it isn't about, and we'll use that, I'm not going to eat sugar because it's bad for me because I want to look good. And I always talk to my clients about that. It was just today, I'm like, your weight isn't what our goal is. We want you feeling good. We want you sleeping well. We want your skin healthy. We want your joints feeling good. We want your hormones in balance. We want your digestion good. We want you to feel good. That's why we make healthy choices, not to look good. Looking good it's nice when it's a side benefit, but, and I think that's important to model to our children, that eating well is a sign of respect for our body. It's not deprivation. It's not punishment. It is nourishment. And that's another word I like, is let's nourish our body and respect our bodies. And that's huge, 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 huge.
Yeah. Wow. That was powerful. Somebody said, if you don't take care of this body, where will you live?
Exactly. Yeah. My other favorite one is, we only have two places to live, our planet and our body, so we need to take care of them both.
Yeah, I like that. Did you make that one up? It sounds like a criticism.
No, but I use it lots.
Okay.
It was like from Instagram.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow. Okay. And I want to add too, I finally get that. I finally get it, the whole point, because I remember just obsessing about weight and size and everything. And it wasn't until I let that go and started to focus on feeling good that I actually did look good.
Yeah.
Like it's so messed up. But if you can just let that go and really focus on feeling good, it does come. Because you feel good, you look good, you feel good, you look good, but it can't be about looking good. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So the men are probably like, is this relevant? Maybe. I don't know. I don't have a lot of diet conversations with men. It seems easier for my husband, but when he tries to cut weight for a fight, he just cuts it like 30 pounds in a month.
Wow.
Like I'll just eat less, or I'll just have one cookie instead of 6. I'm just like, oh. But so yeah, that's awesome. So the biggest difference maker for a business owner, if business owners are watching this and they're thinking, okay, what's the one thing I can do that will just make the biggest difference for me?
One thing, I can't think of one thing. Drink more water and drink less coffee.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
any kind of caffeine, right?
Yeah, I mean, we a little bit. It's like a matcha tea, you know, like a green tea, like a really matcha's really green, or matcha, some people say. There's some antioxidant value and what have you. It's lower in caffeine, so that's one that I see a lot of people will be like, "But I love green tea, and green tea is so good for you." Some people try and say that with coffee, but no. I can't say it's good for you. And again, if you want to have a coffee as a treat, have it. Just don't depend on it. But yeah, caffeine really, all caffeine, because then people, you know, start drinking 6 cups of black tea a day. That's, you know, that's not going to be helpful either.
Yeah, that's my. I'm gonna look at that. Okay, so then people are gonna have to go back and watch this and take notes. I think there's way too much good stuff in here. But if you just had to give, like, you know how we usually do a quick tip on the podcast, just because I think a lot of people like that actionable. What can I start doing tomorrow?
Yeah.
Or even tonight, sort of thing. What would be your quick tip for the business owners that are listening?
I'm gonna look. What did I write as my quick tip? Oh, there we go. Um, is eat regularly. Like, eat. I think that's, and again, as a business owner, it's hard. You're busy, so you just forget you're hungry, and we start losing track. And you know, we have to listen to our body and respect it. But if we ignore it for so long, we actually stop getting the signals. You're not thirsty, or you're not hungry, and you can go all day by drinking coffee, and you're not hungry till supper, or what have you. So it's eating regularly and drinking enough water, getting in nutrients. I mean, that's the goal.
These never end up being quick tips because they're so interesting, but the listening to your body thing is hard for me, and I don't know if anybody else experiences this, but there were a lot of days where I would just have caffeine and I wouldn't eat until nighttime, and I just thought, well, I'm not hungry, I'm listening to my body. But so you're saying if you ignore the signals for long enough, they stop coming.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
good.
they can for sure. And then it's funny, like, especially water, you haven't been drinking water, you're one of those zero people, you start drinking water, you'll actually find that you'll get like crazy thirsty to start, and you sort of, it's like your body signals are sort of mixed up, or we can see sometimes even hunger and thirst get mixed up. So if you're really hungry all the time, but you're not drinking water, drinking more water can sort of help in subsiding the hunger. But I mean, caffeine's an appetite suppressant, so that's fair. It's muting your signals as well. So it's really listening to your body. It's learned, and you get better signals when you're feeling well and treating it respectfully. When you're feeling crummy and stressed and tired and blah all the time, you don't get good signals. Well, your signals, you're feeling stressed and blah and tired and what have you. So once you start making different choices, you'll be like, oh, like I said, you know, when I eat that, oh yeah, that doesn't make me feel very good. Or, you know, I've been, you know, eating, you know, your first 3 days, if you're eating increasing veggies, you're honest, you're not going to feel really good those first 3 days. You're going to be like, this sucks. I hate eating these vegetables. And so you don't want to listen to your body then. Give it a chance. But it's easier to listen to your body once you're feeling better and making good choices. So that it's learned for sure. It's not a, oh, now I'm listening to my body, so I'm making all the right choices, you know.
Good to know. That's good. I have one more question, because the whole all or nothing thing, that's something I've been working on the last few years. I didn't realize that was a theme till one of my mentors, she's a counselor, pointed it out. She's like, it's not all or nothing. It's not black or white. It can be a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But I used to have this like do or die mentality where it'd be like the keto diet, for example. And then if I messed it up, it was like, well, screw this. I'm going to do everything or eat everything or whatever. So if people do make a bad choice, like, what's your advice?
Then yeah, don't stress about it, because it doesn't solve anything. And yeah, I see it all the time, the all or nothing thing. Or, you know what, I fell off the wagon. We don't want it to be a wagon. We want it to be just doing life better. And, you know, there's the 80-20 rule or this rule. I try not to make too many rules. Sometimes there's certain situations where we have to be a little tighter, have to make different choices. Maybe there's a severe inflammatory bowel flare up or something. Well, you don't want to mess up then and eat a bunch of ice cream and McDonald's. That's going to make things worse. You have to be, so there's certain situations where you want to be a little more diligent, but the goal is work your way into doing more good. And again, the more you do good, the more you're going to want to do good. And so if you do great and you're feeling great, and then you cave and eat an entire pizza on a Friday night and a bottle of wine, well, you're probably going to feel terrible and learn your own lesson. But then the next day, eat you know, extra veggies. Or I know for us when we were young and we would go to the local fair or, you know, some special event and we knew we were going to be eating junk, we were going to have cotton candy, my parents would always make sure we ate lots of extra healthy things before we went, and then we'd have usually a smoothie or a juice when we came back, and to sort of make up for the junk we had. Or, you know, I find that, you know, with my children, I'm like, you know, we knew we were going to have cake and ice cream for dessert, so let's have an extra vegetable at supper and just get a little more extra nutrients in. Or, but it's, you know, it doesn't have to be all or nothing, which is easy enough to say, but it's not a wagon. You're not on or off. You're living, and you're human, and there's going to be, you're not perfect, nor should you be perfect. You have to have treats. I have treats for sure. You just want to do your best and know that that's your best, and continually work at growing, which is, I mean, you could say that about any aspect of life, is just do your best and keep working at doing better, because there's always room for improvement.
Awesome. I was going to say my quick tip is that cooking and freezing food once a week, because that has made a massive difference for us.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to make good choices when you can just pop it in the microwave.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. And you taught me that, so thank you.
Yeah.
So basically, I just want to have you tell everybody where they can follow you or find you, or hear more about what you've been sharing with us, because you do share this kind of information on social media, right?
Yeah, and we're doing a little bit more. Our social media girl's awesome, and she photographs and does, she's amazing. So yeah, she's been really great. So we're trying to do a video a week where there's some sort of information on, and we did one on inflammation and sleep. We've done a few, so you can go look at our videos on Purple Carrot's page, which is on Facebook at Purple Carrot Lethbridge. Instagram is at Purple Carrot Lethbridge. I think we have Twitter, but I don't even know if we post on Twitter, so ignore Twitter. Does anybody tweet anymore? Is that a thing?
Yes, actually, it blows me away every time, but I abandoned my Twitter years ago, and I kind of thought that it would just die out, but it hasn't.
Yeah.
So some people do. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So at Purple Carrot Lethbridge, Instagram and Facebook. Awesome.
Yeah.
I saw one of your videos. It was super informative, and I had bad internet. I was trying to share it, but I couldn't share it. But yeah, okay, so great. That's where they can find you. Awesome. And then guys, you know, you can find me, Kelly Ray Tamaki, TMH, on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram. So Chris, thank you so much for joining us, and thanks guys for listening. I hope this serves you. I know that Chris has made a massive difference in my life, and I know if you take even one of these things and implement them, you'll feel so much better, and you'll just show up way better in your business. So thank you so much, Chris, and thank you
Thanks
everybody
for having me.
Thanks, Chris. Have a good night. Bye, guys.